All right, good morning. Welcome. All right, wow, let me start that over. We will go ahead and get started in a seat. Okay, so just rest those hands on the knees, closing down those eyes. We'll just give everybody a moment to kind of jump on, join us. So you can even give it a couple neck rolls. My shoulders in particular feeling a little bit tight, so just maybe give it a few shoulder rolls from neck rolls from side to side as we start to find that breath. And go ahead and bring that head up to neutral, just sitting nice and tall, closing down those eyes. Maybe a shoulder roll or two, and then soften those shoulders down and back, lifting through that chest, keeping that core just slightly engaged. So we're sitting up nice and tall. We don't be leaning forward too much or leaning back too much. Big breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Just really working on feeling that lowest part of the lungs, the middle, up into the collarbones, big expansion of that rib cage in all directions. And then we just breathe out, nice and slow and controlled. Blink those eyes open, reach those arms out to the side, and we'll reach it up nice and tall. Palms will meet. So if the shoulders are really tight, they may not meet, or it might be a little bit too forceful to bring them together to meet. That's okay, just bring those palms to face each other, keep that core tight, reach those arms back as much as you can, a little stretch through those shoulders, right? And then as you bend those elbows, those hands come together, touch. Again, reach those arms out to the side, reach up nice and tall, palms meet, bring those hands to heart center. Last time, reaching those arms out and up. And now, interlace those fingers. We're gonna bend those elbows, bring the hands to grab onto the back of the head. Pull those elbows together. And then just lift those elbows up towards the ceiling. So a little stretch through that upper back. Then let's release those arms up. Let's find a little twist over to that right side. Stay nice and tall on that inhale. Exhale, looking over that shoulders. We find a little bit more twist. Inhale, bring it back to center. Reach the arms up, twisting it over to that other side. Sit nice and tall and twist. And now bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. And maybe staggering those feet a little bit. So as you can kind of tell, my shins are side by side instead of being crossed over. And then from here, just walk those arms forward. Flatten out through that back. Stretch out those outer hips. Move into that glute a little bit. Lengthening out through the spine. So lifting that chest, lifting that tailbone, keeping that core nice and tight. Let's walk those hands near you all. Walking the hands over to that left side. Bring it back to center, and then over to the other side. Bring it back to center. You can hold here. Maybe those hands will walk out a little bit further. Keep grounding down through those hips though. So we don't want to be leaning forward too much into the shins. Keep pressing the hips back. Lifting through that chest a tiny bit. We want to flatten that low back out. And then you walk those hands back. Sit up nice and tall. Let's switch the cross of the legs. So again, staggering those shins a little bit. And then we'll inhale those arms up. Let's twist it. Let's go the other way first. Over to your left side first. So sit tall on that inhale. Look over that shoulder as we twist. Inhale, bring it back to center, reach it up tall, and twist it to that other side. So be really tall on that inhale. Exhale, twisting a little bit more. And bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. So again, fold it forward. So switch that cross leg. Maybe you feel this a little bit more on that other side, that other hip. If you feel equally in both, that's definitely not a problem either. And we'll walk those hands. Let's go over to your right side to start. And then bring it back to center. Let's go over to the other side. Bring it back to center. Reach those arms forward a little bit more. And lifting through the chest, through the tailbone. And walk those hands back. Go ahead and roll over onto those hands and knees, tabletop position. So on that inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as you look up. Exhale, round that spine, press the shoulder blades away. Draw that belly up and in. With that rounded spine, just send those hips back to the heels just for a moment to keep that spine rounded. And then we'll round it back up, keep that core tight, and then drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we gaze up. Exhale, round the spine, press those hips back to the heels. Inhale, round it forward, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone up. Exhale, round, press it back. Hold it forward, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone. And exhale, bring it to our neutral spine, stepping those feet back to our plank. Let's hold it first, just another breath here. So really strong through those legs. So we'll press those legs, or squeeze those legs towards each other. Chest is pulling forward, belly draws up and in. So I say pull the chest forward. I just mean I don't want you in this position. Okay, I want you really flattened out. Again, hips do not drop either. A lot of core, a lot of legs. Grip those fingers into the mat. One more breath, and then we'll send those hips up and back into that downward facing dog. So we're pressing those heels down to the mat. You can bend into those knees a little bit as we press those hips up towards the ceiling. So really flat back. Belly is pressing towards the thighs. And again, gripping those hands, pulling those forearms towards each other. Now come onto the toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet up to the top of the mat. Inhaling, sliding those hands up the shins. They can even be up by those knees if you're feeling a little bit tight this morning. And then exhale with that flat back. Try and slide those hands down a little bit more. Big stretch through those hamstrings. Again, bending those knees as much as you need to. And then sliding those hands down even forward, even more, rounding that spine. Let the head and the upper body hang nice and heavy. And sometimes it's helpful to bring your hands to something. So maybe it's kind of the ankles, okay? Maybe it's the feet or the shins, wherever. Just gives you a little bit of support through that low back. And then slight bend into those knees. Nice flat back. Let's rise up to standing. Reach it up nice and tall. Pull those elbows down. So find that field goal position with elbows. Start making those that 90-degree bend. Inhale, reach it back up. Exhale, draw the elbows down. Inhale, reach it up. Last time, pull those elbows down. Let's interlace those fingers behind the back, big opening through that chest. So again, if bringing the hands away from the hips is a little bit too much, if you just bring the hands here, just interlacing the fingers is enough. Okay, or just reaching those palms forward and those arms can reach back. So that's another option too, just finding a little opening through that front part of the shoulders. One more breath. And then release those arms up. Exhale, fold. Find that flat back on that inhale. And exhale, let's plant those hands down. Step the feet back to your plank. Okay, if you want to, you can lower those knees down. Maybe even on this first one, just get those shoulders and arms a little bit more warmed up. Lower all the way down, nice, slow and controlled onto your stomach. Pointing those toes, rolling the shoulders down and back, lifting through that chest. So let's keep that lowest part of the rib cage on the mat. Soften it down. Roll it, lift a little higher. Soften it down. Again, roll and lift up into that cobra. Press into those feet. Maybe lift those hands up. So fire in those back muscles, those legs, the glutes. One more breath. And then plant those hands down. Curl those toes. Reverse that plank. And then send those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Let's move through that one more time. Inhale on the toes. And those knees, stepping those feet top of the mat. Sliding those hands up to the shins, as high or as low as you'd like. Just flatten out that back. Now slide the hands down, maybe an inch further with the flat back. And then exhale, soften as we fold. And then bend into those knees, flatten out that back. Rise on up to standing, reach up tall, pull those elbows down. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, the elbows down. Inhale, bring it back up. And exhale, those elbows down. Interlace the fingers, open up that chest. And release those arms up and fold. Flat back on the inhale. And exhale, plant those hands, stepping those feet back to our plank. Go ahead and again, lower onto the stomach. Point those toes. We'll do those baby cobras this time. We're going to lift those arms up on each one. Okay, so roll the shoulders down and back. Lift the hands up. Good. Press into those feet and soften down. Again, roll the shoulders, lift up. So try and use the back as much as possible. Lower back down. Last time, roll those shoulders, lifting those arms up. So now we're not lifting that head up. We're kind of looking down towards that top edge of the mat. So neck is neutral. And then lower those hands down. This time, okay, if you want, roll the shoulders down and back, big lift into that upward facing dog. Maybe give it a little sway from side to side. If this is too much, you can always stay in that cobra, maybe even go into a child's pose, whatever you're feeling. Really pull the shoulders down, lengthen out through the top of the head, and then exhale, hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. Come onto the toes. And those knees, stepping those feet up, top of the mat. Walking those toes, big toes, together. Heels can be just slightly separated. Bend into the knees, flatten out that back, rise up to standing, reaching those arms up, sink those hips down into that chair. Core is tight, shoulders relax down. Then we'll twist. Right arm is going to reach back, left arm is reaching forward. So it looks like that. Okay, try not to open up through those hips. Try and keep those hips kind of side by side. Knees side by side as we twist. Inhale, bring it back up. Maybe sit the hips a little bit lower, and then we'll twist to the other side. Left arm reaches back. Right arm is reaching forward. Then inhale, reaching those arms up, and straighten those legs as we fold. Find the flat back, and plant the hands. Step those feet back to our plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift, so cobra or upward facing dog. And exhaling those hips to the sky, down dog. Feet together, inhaling that right leg lifts. Curl that knee to the nose, stepping that foot through into our low lunge. So those fingertips are on the ground. Core stays nice and tight, really strong through that back leg. You're holding in here, letting those hips kind of open up. So if this hip flexor is a little bit tighter, those hips might sit a little bit higher. Okay, as we try and release it, I'm not sure if mine's going to today, but press the hips. Your hips will come down a little bit more. Mine are a little bit stuck right here. Okay. So like I said, I think it was yesterday, some days your body's just not having it, and that's happening to me today. So Left hand is going to plant down, twisting. Right arm reaches up, gazing up towards that right thumb. Lower that hand down. Now from here, really strong through those legs. Just try and hover that chest just for a breath. So reaching the fingers off the mat. Good. Lower back down. Lower that back knee down. Inhale, reaching those arms up overhead. Okay. Core stays nice and tight, pressing those hips forward. So again, trying to release those hip flexors. We're going to press into that right heel. Pull back. So you're going to feel your glute all the way to your hamstring, kind of fire. Not kind of, it's gonna fire, you'll feel it. Press that left knee down and pull forward. So we think we're squeezing kind of both of our butt cheeks, both of our glutes, okay? Keeping that core tight, hold, hold, hold. Maybe pressing forward a teeny tiny bit more. Big breath in. And exhale, soften, press the hips forward a little bit more. Again, press that right heel down, pull back. Left knee presses down and pulls forward, squeeze. Stay really tight through those muscles. And then relax. Press the hips forward a little bit more. Maybe you get that release through that hip flexor. If not, let's do it one more time. Press the left heel or right heel down, pull back. Left knee's pulling forward. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And soften. Press the hips forward even more. And then we'll straighten that front leg. Pull that toe back, the right toes back as we fold. You know, we did a little bit of work through this hamstring glute, so this might feel good. Just stretch it out a little bit. And then we bend into that knee. Go ahead and step it back to our plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift that chest. And exhale those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Let's inhale that left leg up. Exhale, curl that knee to nose, stepping that foot through, and coming into that lunge. So you can be on those fingertips, really strong through that back leg, and then maybe that hip, you can press those down towards the ground a little bit more. And if it's feeling a little stuck, don't worry about it. We'll work on it in a sec. One more breath here. Then maybe we start to hover those fingers up off the mat, really strong through those legs. Then we can lower the hands down, lower that back knee down. Then inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Okay, core is tight, into that lunge. Now we'll do the same thing we did on that other side. Left heel presses down, pulls back. So we want to feel this muscle here, that left glute firing. Right knee presses down, pulls forward, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So core is tight, glutes are tight, legs are really tight. Tight's not the right word, strong. Let's say engaged. But one more breath. And then we'll soften, press the hips forward a little more. Now again, left heel presses down and back, right knee's pulling forward, stay engaged. And squeeze and release, press the hips forward. Let's do it one more time. Again, hold on. All right, there we go. Press that heel down, pull back, left or right knee's pulling forward. One more breath. Good. And then release, press it forward a little more. And then we'll straighten that front leg, pulling that toe back, hovering that chest right over that thigh. Stretch through that hamstring, maybe through that calf. And we'll rebend into that knee, plant the hands, step it back to a plank, move through that vinyasa. That exhaling those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Pedal those feet out. And then let's go ahead and make our way onto our knees. Let's come to a seat. We're gonna go into a full pigeon. Now I know it's really early for this and we didn't do a ton of hip opening stuff, so feel free to modify. So I'll go into the full, well, what it would normally look like. Then I'll show you kind of the modification. All right, so I'll mirror you all. Right leg is going to be down first. Okay, shin is parallel to the front of your mat, right, or to that edge of your mat. The left leg comes up and over, flexing that foot. Now, like I said, we have not done a lot of hip openers today, as you can tell from me. Okay, so softening those knees down. So trying to sit up nice and tall. Again, if this knee is really, really high, that's okay. As long as you're feeling a good stretch through the hip, it's fine. Okay, sitting tall, hands can come kind of behind you to start, and then kind of walk the hands forward as you fold. Maybe that knee makes its way a little bit closer to that foot. Maybe it's touching. Maybe you can drape your chest all the way over that shin. Great, that's awesome. Okay, now if you're here and this is super uncomfortable or it's maybe way up here, let's go back to that cross-legged position that we started class, and then walk your hands forward that way. Okay, we want to feel a really good stretch. We don't want to feel like there's a lot of sharp shooting pains or pains in the joint or the bone. So again, just listening to the body. Keep that core tight. Stay tall regardless of where you're at, and then lean it forward. So get flat back when we lean instead of that rounding through the spine. We'll get a better stretch that way, and it's going to be a little bit safer on that low back as well. And then let's bring it back up. Switching sides. So now it'll be your left shin down. Right ankle comes up and over. So again, make sure you want that ankle high enough so you can flex that foot and bring it so it's really stable on that kind of that inner thigh. Okay. We don't want the toes to be pointed and hooked into that knee crease. It's a little bit rough on the ankle. Right, now, sit up nice and tall. And this side might feel a little bit different. So maybe it just kind of goes right down to that foot. Okay, again, if you need to modify it, go into that cross-legged position and fold forward from there. Okay, sit tall. Walking those hands forward, cover that chest. Go ahead and rise back up. Go ahead and cross it. Let's finish off with a twist. So reaching those arms up. Exhale, twist it over to that right side. Sit tall on that inhale. Exhale, a little deeper twist. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, twist it to the other side. And find a little bit more twist. And bring it back to center. Let's press those hands on the knees, close down those eyes. Let's just take a few breaths. Again, it can be a natural breath, but try to use that full capacity of the lungs. So breathing into the lowest part of the lungs. Feel that big expansion of the chest. And then exhale it out. Just do a couple more of those, just being really aware of that breath. And then bring those eyes open. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a great day. And I don't think there's anything, no classes. Boot camp. There's boot camp tonight, just not with me. But otherwise, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow noon for recharge. All right. Have a good one.